Hello everyone and welcome to another devlog video for Homegrown, the casual farming game I'm making using my own engine. This week I'm going to be working on the villagers, working on their looks, their behaviours, and also adding a simple dialogue system. For this video I thought I'd do something that I haven't done in a while, which is to film every single day. Today's the 1st of December. Originally I was planning on filming every day up until Christmas, like an advent calendar. I think that might be a bit too much though, and the video would end up being very, very long. So I'm just going to film every day for some amount of time, probably a couple of weeks, and hopefully that should give you a bit more of a realistic look into what my life is like as an indie game developer. Unfortunately, today, the 1st of December, is a Sunday, so I'm actually not planning on doing any programming today, but I can show you what I've been working on so far, because I started to work on this a couple of days ago. So I've mostly been working on the movement code for the villagers. Firstly, I set up a very simple path following mechanic, where the villager moves at a constant speed from path node to path node. I then added a little bit of acceleration and deceleration, so that it doesn't start and stop instantly. I then smoothed out the turning a bit, so that when the villager reaches a path node, it smoothly changes direction until it faces the next path node. I then got the villager's rotation to match with the direction that it's travelling in, and then I wrote a little bit of animation code so that the villager does this very cute bouncing animation as he waddles around town. And finally, I got the path following working in 3 dimensions so that the villagers can go up and down stairs. And that's where we're at the moment. The villagers can walk happily around town. I'll be building on that more tomorrow to implement some more complex behaviours, but for now, I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my Sunday. So it's the 2nd of December, it is 9:30. I've just been getting a lot of admin stuff, tax stuff, planning for the month out of the way this morning, which I always do on the first Monday of each month. But now I'm ready to get into some programming and start implementing the behaviour trees for the villagers. I worked on behaviour trees quite a lot when I was doing the city builder game, so I've been able to reuse quite a bit of the code from that, and I'll give you a quick example. I've been setting up this test action for the villagers, and it's broken down into multiple sub-actions which get carried out one after another, and these sub-actions are also just actions, so they too can be broken down into smaller sub-actions, which are also done one by one. Then I have different types of actions, so I've got some looping actions. These carry out their sub-action X number of times, so here it's carrying out the jump action 5 times. I also have these random sequence actions, and instead of doing its sub-actions one after another, it chooses one of them to do at random, so I'm using that here to make it do animations in a random order. I've also got some conditional actions as well, so all in all, this allows me to have these very simple building blocks which I can then very easily and very flexibly put together to create some much more complex behaviours. So here's an example of one of these behaviour trees in action. I've programmed this guy to go up to the vegetable shop. Once he gets there, he does some animations in a random order. Don't worry about the actual animations themselves, they're just placeholders for now. And then once he's done with those animations, he will leave the town via one of the various pathways. Looks like he's going to take this path out. So that's obviously a very simple example, but just by adding more of those simple building blocks, I could make this as complicated as I need it to be. Just been finishing up this afternoon. I've been doing quite a bit of maths work to end the day, but I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. So as promised, I've had a very maths heavy morning today. I was trying to come up with an easing function that has a smooth start and a smooth stop, but then a long period of linear speed in the middle. I wanted to apply this to the animations so that they could start and stop nice and smoothly. So I'll show you this working in the game now. You can see when this guy does this animation, this is without the smoothing, so it starts and stops very abruptly. And then this is how it looks if I apply the smoothing. It just adds that bit of acceleration at the beginning and deceleration at the end, so that the start and end are just a bit softer. This afternoon I've mostly been working on the pathways that the villagers are going to follow, and for now I've just been creating a few preset paths that they're going to follow. I'm not going to get too much into pathfinding yet. I don't think I really need to, but we'll see. So I've been making these paths in Blender like this, really easy, and then I export that path mesh as an OBJ file, and then I just wrote a really quick program that can extract all of the vertices from that path mesh, prints it out like this, and then I can just copy and paste that into my code for some preset paths. And I've been testing that in the game, and you can see I've got the villagers just kind of wandering around town, following different paths, and still loads to do. Obviously they're still like crashing into each other, but it's 5:30 now, so I'm going to stop for today, have some dinner. Later I want to make some bread, and then I'll continue on with this tomorrow. This morning probably wouldn't have got shown in one of my normal devlogs because I've made absolutely no progress at all. I've spent the whole morning just thinking, trying to work out how I'm going to handle actions getting interrupted, like when the player tries to talk to one of the villagers. I think I finally worked out how to do it though, so I'm gonna implement that now. Well, I kind of failed today. I've really not achieved anything this afternoon, except for putting some lights up on my tree here. Very festive. But I've really been struggling with the interrupting one behavior with another behavior thing. It's starting to remind me of how things were when I was working on the city builder game, how much I struggled then, and I'm starting to remember why I gave up on that project. Anyway, I do give up for tonight. We're going into town in a bit anyway to go to the cinema this evening. So I'll come back to this tomorrow and try again. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. Yesterday was not very good, so I'm feeling determined today to try and make amends. I think I was being a little bit perfectionist yesterday, trying to come up with the perfect solution, and in the end I didn't go with any of my solutions. So I think today the plan has to be less thinking and more doing. It is 10:30 and I have some progress to show you. I've been making some headway with the interrupting actions thing. So this villager here, he's just doing an action where he goes to the vegetable store, but I can now interrupt him and make him do a different action where he faces the camera and does some animations. Then when he's finished with that, he'll go back to doing what he was doing before. It's still very glitchy and there are lots of edge cases that I still need to solve, but at least I've finally made a start on this. Just been working on some better animations so that I can test this feature a bit more thoroughly. So I've got a new idle animation. You can see these guys standing around here. And then in the back there's a villager doing the new shop browsing animation. I am struggling again. It's just seems to be a glitchy mess. The rotations are all messing up. I keep finding new problems. It's really starting to remind me of the city builder game and how things were back then. Just a bit demotivated at the moment. It's probably the most I've struggled on this project since I started it. It's just a bit annoying that it's happened during the 1 week that I decided to film everything. So, a bit frustrated at the moment, but I'll find a way. So today, I think I'm just going to move on to the next part of the villagers feature. Before I get too demotivated, I want to get back to making some progress, and then I'll come back to the behaviours in a few days' time. Before I get started today though, I just wanted to show you this really cool advent calendar that we've been doing this year with some friends. There are 25 of us in total, and the idea is that everyone makes a homemade gift 25 times, and then our friends who are organising it take all of the gifts from everyone and put them into 25 advent calendars. So every day you get a new handmade gift made by somebody else. So far we've had things like homemade pesto, handmade soap, these really cool ornaments, which must have taken ages to make 25 of them. And then today's one, number 6, was this really nice handmade Christmas card, which is empty so that you can send it to someone else. So really nice idea. I'm really grateful to our friends who organised it. This morning I've been getting started on the dialogue system, which is going to allow you to talk to the villagers, which you'll do by clicking on them, and then the dialogue appears above their heads like this. Haven't got very far yet, but it's definitely easier than working on the behaviours. Just stopping for some lunch now, and then after lunch my partner and I are going to go bouldering, which is something we started doing a couple of months ago, and now we love it, so we go every week. And then I'll do some more work on the dialogue system later this afternoon. I've had a much more successful day today working on the dialogue system. So I've got this dialogue component that I can give to villagers to tell them what they can say. And for now, all I can do is put in a list of strings, but in the future I'll make this more complex so that I can have things like conditional dialogue. So if I click on this villager here, he'll start saying the first thing from that list, and to make him keep talking, I just click on him again, he'll say the next thing, and he'll just go through that list of text until he's said everything he has to say, and then the UI just closes. So super simple, but it's a good start. Saturday morning, back working on the dialogue system. I've just written this code that breaks big bits of text into smaller chunks. So now I can provide a villager with one long bit of text, everything that I want them to say, and then in the game it automatically breaks it down into the individual messages. It tries to split it at the end of sentences, but if a sentence is too large, then it can break the sentence up into multiple parts, and it puts ... at the beginning or the end. A few little graphical improvements next. I made the whole thing look a bit more like a speech bubble, and I also added this little arrow to the bottom right, and that shows when there's still more text to come. Just taking a very quick break to prepare some alfalfa sprouts, something I do quite often. Super simple, just need a tablespoon of alfalfa seeds, and then they need to soak for the first 8 hours, and then they'll be grown in about 4 or 5 days, so I'll be able to show you them later in the video. So I'm pretty much finished with the dialogue system for now. I've just been working on making sure that the UI closes at the relevant time, like when you click off it or open up the inventory. And it's all very simple, but it doesn't need to be that much more complex than this. It's mainly just to provide the player with information about how to use the town's features. You're not going to be having complex conversations. I do just need to get those interrupts working though, so that the villager turns to face you when you're talking to them, because this is obviously not okay. It is Sunday morning, Sunday the 8th of December. I'm going to take the day off programming today so that I can work on other projects, mostly my 8-bit computer, which I'm very close to finishing now. And I was just about to make some breakfast, but it turns out I don't have to, because today's Advent gift is some homemade granola. It's been a very nice chilled Sunday today. I made good progress on the 8-bit computer. I finished wiring up the control unit, and now all that I need to do is to put the data onto these EEPROMs, and then all of these loose wires are inputs to the various modules of the computer, and they just all need to be connected up to the control unit, and then it will be done. And hopefully I'll get that done in the next few days so that I can show you before the end of this video. Monday morning, start of a new week, and I guess today I'm going to have to try and tackle the interrupting behaviours again. Rufus, what are you doing? Before I start, just give you a quick sprouts update. You can see that they've started to germinate, the seeds, and little roots are coming out. They'll be ready in a couple more days. And today's advent gift was some chocolate cornflake snacks. They got a little bit broken in the box, but I'm sure they'll still be tasty. I just want to briefly try and explain the problem that I'm having at the moment. So let's say I've got a villager, he's browsing this shop, and his current action is just a very simple rocking animation like this. Now let's say I interrupt him at this point here, and the interrupting action should make him turn around and take 3 steps forwards. So the first issue is his rotation, that needs to be normalized somehow, and then he can get started with the interrupting action where he turns around and takes 3 steps forwards. Now that he's finished with the interrupting action, he should go back to the original action. But if we just pick up from where we left off, he's going to snap to this rotation, because that's where he left off, and he'll go back to doing that rocking animation in the wrong position and facing the wrong way. So the difficulty is that when returning to that original action, I need to get him back to where he was, I need to get him back facing the correct direction, and then I need to restart that original action, but from a decent point, because I don't really want to start it right in the middle of the animation. I want to start it from a more neutral position, and then he can start rocking again. I've been having a bit more success with this today. I think it was good that I took a couple of days away from it so that I could come back and look at it with fresh eyes today. And I've come up with a new solution which involves handling the transitions in their own actions. One to transition from the current action to the interrupting action, and then one to transition back. There's still a lot of stuff under this that I need to sort out, but I think this new structure should make it all a bit easier. Annoyingly though, I've come down with a bit of a cold today, so I've been kind of slow programming, but I think I should be able to finish this all off tomorrow at the latest. It is Wednesday, the 11th of December now. We have skipped a day. I'm sorry about that. I was feeling pretty rough yesterday, so I decided it would be best to just have one day of rest in the hopes that I might get better quicker. And I think it worked, because I'm feeling quite a lot better today, even if my voice still sounds a little bit off. But I have now finished the interrupting behavior stuff. I did a tiny bit of work on it yesterday, and then I finished it off this morning. So when you talk to a villager, they instantly stop doing whatever they were doing and they turn to face you and talk to you. And then when you finish the conversation, they go back to doing whatever it was they were doing before. So that is all finally done. It was a huge pain, but it's working now. So this afternoon I'm going to be finally moving on from the behavior stuff, and I'm going to be doing some more work on the visuals of the villager and updating their model a bit and adding a bit more variation to the villagers so that they don't all look identical. So that's what I'll be doing after lunch. Today's advent gift was actually a little recipe book. So for lunch today, I'm going to try and cook this one. This afternoon I've been trying to work out what the villagers are going to look like, what their model should be, and making human models is not something I've ever been very good at. I think I've only done it like 3 times and it's never turned out great. So I've spent a lot of time this afternoon having a look at other people's artwork for inspiration, trying to get some ideas, and I just found these models here. These are by Nigel Go. I thought that these looked really good, and I think the model style is very similar to the art style that I have in Homegrown. So I think I'm going to try and create something along these lines next. So I've had some limited success with this. You can see my new attempt on the right here. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. I mean, the old model is just very simplistic. So this definitely looks a bit better, but still lots of work I need to do on it, and I'm really struggling with the head and the face and the hair. I don't know what to do there, but I'll keep trying tomorrow. It is 9:20 on the 12th of December. I think today's going to be the last day that I film, and then I'll have done 12 days, which is quite a nice number, the 12 days of Christmas. I know those are the 12 days after Christmas, but still. So today I'm going to be working on the look of the villagers again. I've already started trying out a few things with the face and hair this morning, and I think I'm getting somewhere, but still quite a bit more work to do on this. So here's the new villager model in the game. I'm really happy with it. I'm quite proud of how it's turned out. I think he looks very cute, fits the art style well. The model still needs a little bit of tidying up, and obviously I'm going to add different hairstyles and clothes and colours, but as a base model, I think this is a really good start. Just been making a few different hairstyles for the villagers so that we can have a bit of variation. I've never really modelled hair before, so I watched a couple of tutorials first and then had a go, and I think it went pretty well. I think some of these look quite decent. So I've just been getting the new hairstyles loaded up in the game. You can see some of them here looking quite nice, and I've also just been working on customizable colours. So I can customise the hair colours at the moment, and I'll just randomise them so you can see that working. I obviously also want to customise some other colours on the mesh, like the clothes, the shoes, the skin, but currently my engine only supports one customisable colour per mesh. So at the moment I'm working on improving on that and allowing for multiple customisable colours. It is 9 o'clock on the 13th of December. I know I said yesterday was going to be the final day, but I thought I'd do one more day because I've still got a couple of unfinished things that I want to show you, and that also makes up for the day that I skipped. So in the end, it's still 12 days. Today's Advent gift, by the way, a little bit mysterious. I've got a packet of unspecified seeds, and then this little jar, unlabelled, containing some sort of yellowish liquid. Very interesting. So I've got the custom colours working now. I can have up to 4 per mesh, which is enough for what I want to do. So you can see lots of variety in the villagers here. And the way this works is that the mesh data no longer provides its own colours, it simply links to external custom colours, just by providing the ID, and then during rendering I can choose whatever colours I want, and then they'll be applied to the model in the shader. So I can have all of these different combinations of colours, but they're all still using the same mesh data. So the villagers might be done, but there's still a little bit of unfinished business that I want to attend to before the end of this video, and that is the 8-bit computer. I'd really like to finish that off, so I'm going to get to work on that now. Well, it's not completely working. I had a lot of trouble, and there's loose wires all over the place because I was doing loads of testing, but I have now got it to the point where it can run programs, albeit very, very simple programs. In fact, there are currently only 4 commands that it can do, so I'm a little bit limited in the type of program that I can write for it, but I have written one. So we're going to try and run this program here on the computer. All this does is it adds 25 to 17 and then outputs that on the display here, and then it adds another 81 and outputs the result of that, and then stops the program. So to program the computer, I need to put this program into RAM. This is the RAM chip here, and if I put the RAM module into manual mode, this allows me to directly write data into RAM. So these dip switches here, these allow me to choose the address that I'm currently accessing. So I'm going to set this to 0, and this shows what's currently in address 0 of RAM. But we need to overwrite that, because in address 0 I want to store the load A command, and that's represented by this number in binary. So I'm going to input that into these dip switches here. So that's 0001 1 1 0 1, and then I press the right button, and that's now stored in address 0 in RAM. And I now just need to do the same for the rest of the program. So I've got the program loaded up into RAM, and I'm ready to run it. And I can start the computer by pressing this button at the top here. So you can see the lights start flashing, things start happening. It can run faster than this, but I like to see it all in action. So you can see it's already done 25 plus 17, and there's the extra 81 added on to give us 123. The program stops on its own. So yeah, obviously it's still super simple, but it's very close to being able to do a lot more than that. Once I've added support for jumps and conditional jumps, that's going to allow for a lot more complex programs. So I'll show you that when I've done it, but it's not going to be today. We've got some friends coming around in a bit, and we're all going to cook together and play some games. So that is it for this extra long video, and that's it for the villagers for now. I've implemented a lot for them over the last couple of weeks, and a lot of it is still quite rough, so there's definitely a lot of room for improvements, lots of polishing needed, especially when it comes to those animations, and I'll probably try and do some of that over the next couple of weeks, over the Christmas break. Before I finish, I want to say a massive thank you to the top Patreon supporters from last month, who were Marcus Rechel, Viechu, Daryl Zuniga, Kevin Schau, Peter Osthuizen, Ingo Moore, Henning Ko, Helson Taveras, Andrew Romans, Marais, Shadeless Fox, Kimo Tamio, Coda the Tyler, Ross from 2 Minute Tabletop, Nikat Asgazada, Zanil Ambakar, Atomic Code, Walden Yan, Chris Naismith, Alan Lance, Wonuff, Dieter Reiner, Harry Chung, John Needham, Christoph Herpo, Matthias Barder, Hagen Vingard, Matthew Connaughton, Miggy Doze, Marek Mikolajczyk, Sean McCrory, Caffeine Coda, Timothy Gibbons, Alexander Chavez, and Neil Blakey Milner. So a massive thank you to you guys, and of course to everyone else supporting me over on Patreon. For this video though, and for this year, that is it. I hope you all have a fantastic time over the holidays, have a very Merry Christmas, have a great start to the new year, and I will see you all again in 2025.